Everyone's coming back to DC. It's so exciting. They're all flying back. They're about to go to lunch and have, their expensive tax deductible lunch for all of them. Get some more PPP money for their family members. Oh, it's so exciting. And then there's Nancy. She's all ready to come back into town, but, she's having little problems checking the bats at baggage claim at the airport. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is LALATE and LALATE Evenings. Hope you're good and safe. This is our 1-hour programming block every night at about 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, part of our 3.5-hour programming schedule here at LALATE. Incredible news tonight about the stimulus check and stimulus package, and it came from no less than the President of the United States. More about that in a second. Tonight, I will be doing a two-parter. This video will go over what he said, new developments on LWA, things you need to know about rent, and everything that's going to happen this week. And then right after this, you got to tune in for a half-hour special on the potential, yeah, you see where we're going, the potential of an executive order. Why a lot of this can be done by executive order, and why there could be upwards of somewhere around $400 to $500 billion of money available, not $300 billion, to this president. Boy, you got to tune in for that one. That's going to be a shocker. I love the good stuff for a Monday afternoon or evening. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to the incredible news. The day went on a different track as the president had another press conference. If you did not see what happened on the start of the weekend, the president ended on a Friday, which is typically when he does these sort of bombshell interview press conference junkets. He came out and said, I have $300 billion ready to send out to stimulus checks to American citizens, but Nancy and Chuck won't let me do it. If you don't see the occurring trend here, it's sort of like, tuning in to Love and Hip Hop. You sort of know something's going to happen in the first 20 minutes. Well, it seems like the president seems to deliver the big bombshells on Friday afternoons. If you don't recall, no less than 4 weeks ago, he threatened executive orders on a Friday afternoon from his golf course and said that he was going to drop an executive order for eviction moratoriums and stimulus and a lot of stuff. And sure enough, he did within 24 hours. Well, this Friday, he was fuming mad. And he said, you know what? If I have located $300 million and I can use it, but I want them to try to figure it out first before they try to ask me to do it. And so that is what's really quite fascinating coming to today's remarks, in which he really just slammed Pelosi and Chuck. He says they don't want to make a deal. They don't want to make a deal. These are the president's remarks. They think it's going to be good for politics if you don't make a deal. This has nothing to do with anything but other than politics and knowing who's doing you are dealing with. I do. These are people I don't have a lot of respect for. I don't think they have a lot of respect for the American people. I know who Americans are aligned with. I don't need to meet with them to be turned down. They don't want to make a deal, because they know it's good for the economy. And if they make a deal, then it's good for the economy, and then it's good for me in the election November 3rd. And therefore, we're not making a deal. And therefore, they are not making a deal. Now, if we gave them the store away and bailed out the Democratic-run cities $1 trillion, which is the kind of money they want, to be able to bail out badly run Democratic-run states or cities, which are like New York or Illinois, they want to bail them out. We're saying we're not going to pay that type of price to bail them out. We will do something to help cities, but the rest of them, it's on their own. And why didn't you do this at the beginning? I'm on the phone with Mnuchin and Meadows all the time, constantly while they're here. I know what time it's to meet with people. I've done well with the deals. I know when it's time to meet. I don't need to meet with them to be turned turned down so they can walk out to the sticks, which is referring to the microphones, and give you a false report of what just happened. All right, so this statement, which I reported on Afternoon to LALATE, is really just a shocking bombshell, and I'll tell you why. It's a bombshell in so many regards because, first of all, it basically says, I'm about to do an executive order, to hell with all of you. That's basically what he's saying. That's how he talks. He's done that language before, and it basically says, I want to make something very clear. What he's doing in this statement is he's going to incredible detail. He could just sort of give you a lot of superlatives and just sort of vague stuff. This is the second day in which he's gone into incredible detail. The reason why he's going into incredible detail is he wants you to know his narrative. And the narrative started on Friday where he said, there's $300 billion that can go out as stimulus checks to American citizens. I have the money. I'm willing to send it out to American citizens. Nancy and Chuck don't want it to be done. They want to block the House from approving it. I have the money. All you need is to sign a one sentence document. That was Friday. This statement is basically saying, now I'm going to tell you why they don't want you to have the $300 billion allocated to you, because it's good for the economy, it would be good for me, it would be good for my election, and they don't want it to happen. And so now he's giving you the motive behind why the narrative he started on Friday. Now, he's also going into incredible detail. He's explaining, to the extent that the American people can grasp this, that they want to give a lot of money to states and cities. He doesn't do it really particularly well because a lot of Americans just don't understand the story. It's a little bit too complex for them. They don't know that she's asking $915 billion, that they don't need $915 billion. And he's talking very quickly when he's saying this. Additionally, what's really quite fascinating is that he says that all they want to do is just say no. And I think people grasp that. People understand very simple things, which is, I want to make a deal, no. I want to make a deal, no. He says that several times in the statement, that I'm willing to make a deal, but I know who I'm dealing with. I'm not just going to talk with them to be turned down. He says turned down several times in the statement. And then he says, I'm not going to have them come into the White House and meet with me just to turn me down. He is simply making a very clear message as to why he thinks these two people, Pelosi and Schumer, don't want the $300 billion to be sent out. Now, what's really quite interesting is whether or not this is teeing up language of an executive order. I'll ask you to tune into the special right after this one to see why it really does. More about that in the special following right after this. You really have to tune in. But for now, what's happening this week that we do know? What we do know is a bill, not executive order, is going to be introduced this week. And sure enough, as predictable as Nancy Pelosi getting her roots dyed, the same publication that I blasted on Friday is literally back again tonight with another publication that says the same thing, the same false reporting about what's happened this week. There is one news publication who literally has a news article no less than 1 to 2 every 24 hours about what's happening this week, and it consistently cuts and pastes the same untrue statements. It's just really quite incredulous. So what I've reminded you is not to tune into them. Stay with me. What's going to be in this week's bill, we've been told by Minutia Meadows, it is a $500 billion bill. It has an allocation for a stimulus check. It has an allocation for FPUC. It has an allocation for K-12 funding, and finally for testing. Stimulus checks. We're going to see in this bill a stimulus check, as they have all said. It has been said by Pence, it has been said by Mnuchin, it has been said by Meadows more than half a dozen times, and it has been said by even Larry Kudlow. What certain news publications have wanted to have done consistently is they have taken half of Pence's remark to say that Pence doesn't want you to have a check. They have taken half of Kudlow's remark to say he said you don't want to have a check. They've taken half of Meadows' remark to say that you're supposed to be getting PPP money or something like that. And so they're consistently misquoting people or taking abridged versions of quotes, which is really quite horrible. Nobody wants to give direct payments, which is another language for stimulus checks, to American families more than President Donald Trump, said Mike Pence over the weekend. Mnuchin, we'd like to send out enhanced unemployment benefits and like to send out more economic impact checks. That's stimulus checks. That's another expression for stimulus checks. Mnuchin said last Tuesday or Wednesday, and we had the same thing from Meadows and Kudlow as well. The stimulus check, we know it will be $1,200. We know it'll be $1,200 for single individuals. We know it'll be $2,400 for a married couple, and we know it'll pay for a household. We don't know a couple of things. We don't know how big the household will be under the bill next week. It could be a 3-person household. It could be a 4-person household. It could be a 5-person household. Second, we don't know the amount of the dependent. We do know that dependents will get a check whether you're an adult dependent or minor dependent. This is totally great news. This was not on the first stimulus package. We don't know if it'll be $500 or $1,200. Next, child support. We don't know if it will be taken out for child support or won't be taken out for child support. And finally, let's turn to FPUC. FPUC will be coming back, and I just hope one thing. I hope it's called FPUC, seriously. It's like I can't deal with another name. But, based upon what's happened with these people, they tend to always come up with a new name. So I'm calling it FPUC 2.0. As you see, that is the name I've given it because, I just hope they don't give it another name. But that thing... will have benefits all the way to December. It will go on top of PUA, it will go on top of UI, and it will be retroactive. So this is all really great news. We don't know the amount of it. I've been reporting it's likely to be $400 based upon the last offers and negotiations during the stimulus round of debates and negotiations between Pelosi and Mnuchin. So that is where we are with this. What is the timeline? Timeline. People always ask me that. So Mark Meadows, chief of staff to Donald Trump, has literally said multiple times that the timeline will be introduced this week, well, it's now this week, introduced this week into the Senate by Senate Republicans who have been consulted with the bill and are ready to approve the bill. And he says that it will become law. It'll be approved by both the Senate and the House within 1 week. So not this week, but next week. Within 7 days, it will become law. That's his representation. If you think that you don't have faith in that representation, that you think it's going to pass the Senate, which is run by Republicans, and not pass the House that's run by the Democrats, then you need to watch the next video after this one, the executive order. Next, let's go to LWA. Hey, California, after I recorded that video, which I quickly edited a little line in there, that was a little trick, has now announced they have 5 weeks of benefits. So as we sit here tonight, if you watched my LWA video, which for some reason you folks are not watching it. I don't know why. The unemployment video is just not being very popular lately, but yet I get more comments about unemployment benefits than anything else in Twitter and everywhere else. It's like, did you watch the video? The great news is that LWA appears to be paying 5 weeks to 6 weeks. That's where it's going to be. The reason why I can tell you that is that California was really one of the very, very last states to apply. And they just announced today they're paying 5 weeks of benefits. So if they have 5 weeks, then everyone before them has 5 weeks. And we know that Arizona, which I reported this morning, is paying I reported yesterday, is paying 6 weeks of benefits and actually has a little bit to pay into the 7th week, but doesn't know if they can cover it yet. So here we go. As I said in the earlier video, like the clown at the circus, he's like, here's another balloon for everyone. Okay, there's another balloon for everyone again. The clown just walked back in the room. It's like funnel cakes, balloons, more FEMA money. It's just, okay, we're at 6 rounds now. So it's going to be 5 rounds for every state, and then the earlier states will get 6 rounds. Needless to say, some of the earlier states may go to 7. Let's just see what happens. Really incredible news. Rent. If you didn't watch my rent video, you really have to watch it because I went through the order that you have to download to ensure that you get the eviction moratorium protection. Next, hazard pay. All that rent, aid, food stamps, all those wonderful things that people are asking about. Money for student loans. I've seen that in the comments. I keep on forgetting to touch on that. Where will that be? That will all be up for negotiations to get into what you could call the third stimulus package or phase 2 of next week's package. It's another round that will be done by the Republicans later, believed to be in September. That's about $650 billion. Okay, how do we know this? How do we know what month? How do we know the amount? How do we know what's in there? Mnuchin has said that the president offered $1.3 trillion. Mnuchin said, I want to do 2 stages. I want to first get the quick stuff out, which is stimulus checks, enhanced unemployment benefits. Get that out right away, because there's no disagreement about it. Just send it out. Let's get it out. It's quick and it's easy. Then he says, I want to do the harder things next. And he referenced that as state and local. But he also said there's other things we need to do. We need to do PPP money. We need to do money for food. We need to do other things. And those other things somewhat were not referenced by Mnuchin in great detail. So what could be other things? Well, hopefully it's hazard pay. Hopefully it's rent aid. And we just simply don't know. The real thing that Nancy Pelosi is dealing with, as she starts tomorrow, is that Americans are not stupid. And many Americans can do basic math. If you go to the market and you order a slice of cheese and it's $2, and you give the grocery store person a $10 bill and you get back $1, yeah, you know there's something wrong. How many times has that happened to you? Yeah. I had a bar that I used to go to, and I would give them a $20 bill for an $8 drink and I'd get a $1 back. And then I was like, what is that? So yeah, it actually happened 3 times. Yeah, it was called a scheme. Let's change course. Nancy Pelosi is doing much the same. I mean, she is basically using a number, which is $915 billion, and claiming that state and local needs $915 billion. Well, the numbers are slowly percolating. I had deeply wished that Steve Mnuchin, who's a money guy, had released to the American public all the numbers that disprove what $915 billion is. You know, Nancy Pelosi is saying that states cannot make their budget because businesses were closed during COVID, and because of it, the businesses aren't paying as much revenue tax to the state that they normally would pay. Okay, yeah, that is true, but how much is it? Is it $915 billion? Well, she won't explain what $915 billion is based upon. We all got that. I mean, this is a person with first of all, she would never tell us $950 billion. She has never, ever had the audacity to even say the number like it's a forbidden word. So she would not say the number. Today, President Trump said about $1 billion, because it is about $1 billion. 1 trillion. It's $915 billion. So she would never dare say the number. She's never said $915 billion. We got the number because it slowly started to leak to press. And so we understood it was $915 billion. Okay, so then I, for several weeks, said, okay, how much is it costing these states because they didn't get the revenue from the local businesses when COVID hit? So then we started to get some numbers. They don't add up. They don't add up. I mean, I'm not gonna bore you with them. But the bottom line is they come out to about $150 billion when done by 2, not 1, but 2 nonpartisan economic reports. $150 billion. Well, the reports don't stop there. Yeah, they're ready to pull the knife and just, it's like, here's the shovel, Nancy. Just take care of it yourself. You can dig your own grave. They then say that the number $915 billion by Nancy Pelosi represents her attempt to get 3 months, audacity, 3 years of free grant money to these states. Yeah, $915 billion, according to both of these publications, is Pelosi's attempt to give state and local 3 years of free grant money. If you didn't watch my earlier video, I really went off, and I'm still fuming mad about it, that these Democrats have the well, and again, I'll qualify it. This woman, Nancy Pelosi, has the audacity to sit there and think that you should wait around for a single $1,200 check for 1 month, but that she should give 3 years of grants to Andrew Cuomo and Gavin Newsom. Where in her universe is that even humane? I guess inhumane is really the best description for it. It is inhumane to say that Americans who were under lockdown that were supposed to get a stimulus check for March, April, May, June under the first stimulus package that her group yanked out and made it one stimulus check for 1 month, now this time around is going to give again one check for 1 month, which should have been given 3 months ago before people were homeless, and now wants to give 3 years of grants to state and local. It's absolutely reprehensibly horrific. And I gotta tell you, as this starts to percolate and more people understand it, it's really going to implode her caucus. Democrats don't support her. Democrats, this is not a Democratic position. This is her position. And that's why I always have to stop myself. This is her. This is her lunacy. It's absolutely insane and inhuman that she wants one stimulus check to her Democratic voters when Harris and the senator from Vermont, New Hampshire, sorry, Bernie Sanders wants to give you stimulus checks every month for 6 months. It's inhumane that she thinks that she should give 3 years of grants to Andrew Cuomo. And I haven't even gone into the issue of that Andrew Cuomo's number amounts to an astronomical $39 billion bailout when that encompasses, almost the entire United States. I mean, when we looked at California in the calculations of these third parties, it was not much in California. It was 5, 10, 12 million, or 11 million, billion. And here she's asking for 900 billion. Okay, it just doesn't add up. Coming up after this is a big special. You really got to tune in for that. That one will really rock your rocker about whether Trump can do this and is there hidden money and have I uncovered hidden money that Trump can use. Boy, in a day that has been incredibly hot, it's cooler now. There have been fires in the sky. It is starting to turn for the better. When I started recording this earlier today, I didn't know if I was going to have to go back indoors again because it was incredibly miserable. If you can notice, I'm switching shirts because it was this afternoon broadcast. I was drenched, and you can understand the camera angle is actually higher today because I was so hot and bothered and sweaty that I just didn't even want to capture it on camera. So I've been playing a lot of camera trickery so you don't see how miserable it has been here to record. And with that, I'm pleading for you to give a subscribe. See, I don't ask for money for staying local. I just ask for a subscribe and hit the alert button. Finally, like this video. It really helps in the algorithm. Boy, you have been doing wonders. We are ranking number 2 and number 3 all day long today. So, boy, keep it up. Please, thank you. And coming up next is that special. Please tune in. As always, stay informed, stay motivated, stay smiling, and stay alive for more.